certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
Fellas, I feel this is my lucky day.
Brilliant.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Rankum. It's going to be an interesting one today. We're talking about movies or TV shows that are about making of real life products, companies, movies, etc. But I've got a great panel here. We've got Austin here. Austin, how's it going?
Hey, it's going good, man. This is one of my favorite recent subgenres. Give me all of these types of movies you can give me, because we've had like 4 of them so far this year, and I like all of them. So keep giving me these movies, because they're all great so far.
We've also got Chris Diaz here. Chris, how's it going?
Doing good. This is a topic I am interested about. There's a lot of different choices and trying to what makes sense and what doesn't. So that's fun as usual.
And next we've got Richie. Richie, how's it going?
Yeah, pretty good, man. Yeah, I'm enjoying these movies too. So, and I think there's surprisingly a lot to choose from. So, yeah, looking forward to talking about them.
And last but not least, we've got Chad. Chad, how's it going?
Yeah, you're not lying, Austin. This is a pretty recent big boom of films. So we'll have to see how many new ones make it on, how many old ones make it on.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to be here. I love Rankum.
Yeah, it's definitely been an interesting thing. There's a lot of recent stuff that they did as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But how the show works, we're going to go around in the panel, each nominate a movie or TV show we think belongs on this list, and then everyone else will say yes or no to it. And if it gets a majority yeses, it makes a list. And then at the end, we'll rank them from 12 to 1. But Austin, what is the first movie you're going to bring up?
Yeah, I don't have a super huge list. I got like about 22 or so on my little rough list. So pretty much if anybody says any of the ones on my list, I'll probably just say yes, because I don't have them ranked or anything. But I'll start out with a little bit of an older one, not like an old movie, but I'll go with one of my favorite Tim Burton movies. Let's do Ed Wood. Ed Wood is awesome. It's basically revolves around him becoming a filmmaker and the making of both Glenn or Glinda and Plan 9 from Outer Space. Yeah, really, really good stuff. If you haven't seen it, super underrated Tim Burton movie. Johnny Depp is fantastic in it as Ed. He's very, very funny. Great chemistry with Martin Landau, who plays Bela Lugosi. And yeah, you got Bill Murray in there. Great little side cast of people. George the Animal Steel playing the actual Tor Johnson, the wrestler, who's a wrestler playing a wrestler. It worked out nicely, and he looks exactly like the wrestler, which is great. But yeah, it's really fun watching him make these movies and make them badly. And yeah, so if we're going to do sort of include making of movies, let's go Ed Wood.
Chris, what do you say about Ed Wood?
This is a film I am almost done watching, and I freaking love this film. I'm watching it for the first time today. I went to watch it because I wasn't sure if it would count, but I think it's a great Tim Burton movie. I think Johnny Depp is phenomenal. It's funny, it's interesting. I think every casting is really good. Yeah, yes for me. I'm not done with it yet, but I love everything I've seen so far. I have it into it right now. I'm done.
Richie, what do you say about Ed Wood?
Before I answer that, Chad, can I call you Chatty Daddy from now on?
Sure.
Thank you. All right, cool. This movie I didn't even think. Yeah, it definitely counts, but I didn't think about it. But yeah, it's for making those movies, so it does count. And yeah, it's great. Yeah, I definitely think it deserves to be on this list. And yeah, it's a great biopic, and yeah, great. Yeah, just a great kind of exploration into the mind and how how these movies kind of maybe got made into like these cult favorite movies, not necessarily quality movies, but yeah, like that. I think Johnny Depp's really good. Yeah, George Animal Field said. Yeah, I think it definitely deserves to be on this list. Yeah, making of movies about movies is also a good favorite subgenre of mine. So yeah, so Ed Wood is one of the better ones. So yes.
Chad, what do you say about Ed Wood?
This is absolutely yes. This was back when Tim Burton actually made like just really good movies, and you could just expect that from him. And yeah, I think I need more of these movies that are like, take this like really bad movie and let's make a good movie about the making of that bad movie. And you can have a lot of fun with that. I think Johnny Depp is incredible in this. Like, this was also back when Johnny Depp was really good. So, and then you have Martin Landau, who's amazing, and Juliette Landau, who is in Buffy. So, of course, I love that. But yeah, this is just really incredible. It is all in black and white, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that aesthetic too with it. So, and it's very funny. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I saw it, Edward, for the first time sort of last year. Just a really good movie. Like I had no idea about these movies sort of when I watch this. I haven't seen like Plan 9 from Outer Space or stuff like that, but it was just interesting seeing this, because I've heard so much about this director. It's like, it's really interesting. But yeah, so it's an easy yes for me. So Edward does make the list. Chris, we go to you.
You know what? I don't go for the obvious one. One of my favorite movies from this director. About the making of a real life product. Facebook. The social network. I think this is one of the best movies from the last decade. I think it's well written, well acted, very smartly written. That give you a lot of stuff you didn't know about Facebook, whether it was real or not, lead interpretation what were accurate or not. But Jackie Eisenberg, his best performance, Armie Hammer's great in it. The second movie up where Andrew Garfield might bring up. Another one might be up later. That kind of put in that category. But yeah, I love this movie. This is probably my top 3 David Fincher movie. So yeah, The Social Network.
Richie, what do you say about The Social Network?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it depends what else we bring out, but I have this at the top of my list. I think this movie is one of the better David Fincher movies. And that's one of my favorite directors. I think everything about this movie works. I think Jesse Eisenberg is great. I think Andrew Garfield's great. I think it's Justin Timberlake's best performance. I think the score by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross is amazing. I think everything about this just works. The script is one of the best, one of the most well written movies I've seen in probably ever. Honestly, it's amazing. So one of my sort of favorite biopics. One of my favorite movies. So yeah, definitely yes.
Chad, what do you say about The Social Network?
This is the first thing that I wrote down when I started making this list. It's incredible. I'm not a huge Fincher fan, but you team him up with Aaron Sorkin. Exactly what Richie said. Just the writing is just fire. You could just like analyze a lot of these scenes, especially like the deposition scenes and all that stuff is just like so incredible. The acting is just next level. And really, like, when people were talking about like this is the Facebook movie, the movie about Facebook, people were kind of rolling their eyes until the movie came out and they were like, oh wait, okay, this is actually probably one of the best movies ever. So and then you have that score from Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross that's just so weird that it works, and it's just kind of like a new like level of making like a film score that like you probably never would have guessed would actually be really good. And now they're like killing it, with every movie that they score. So, this movie is just, and I believe they play Radiohead, or is it just the Beatles? I can't remember, but the soundtrack is amazing. So that's what I mean.
Yeah, because I remember when this was first announced, I was like, why do we want to see a movie about nerds coding at a computer screen? I just didn't know anything about the actual making of Facebook until I watched this. Like, really is a dick. He still is realistically, like
he's a dick.
But yeah, it's really interesting. And I kind of hope we get a sequel with showing why I decided to change to Meta and all that. But It's a yes for me for Social Network. Austin, what do you say about Social
Oh
Network?
yeah, I don't need to say a whole lot. It's my favorite David Fincher movie. I've watched this movie legitimately like 30 or 40 times in the last 10 years. I love this movie. I put it on all the time just for background noise. It's like this and another movie I might bring up that I put on a lot. But yeah, this movie's awesome. And the reason it works, Malcolm, is because it's not about Facebook. It's about the erosion of a friendship. It's about a friendship that doesn't last and two guys who just couldn't make it work. So that's why, but that's why it works, because it's more about that. Facebook is kind of the ancillary thing that comes between them. But yeah, it's a great movie. Yeah, of course I'm not going to say no to the Social Network. It's great. Yeah.
Richie, what is the first movie you're going to bring up?
I'm going to bring up a movie about movie about a birth of a sort of phenomenon, and also about a character who is kind of an asshole. And I think more people need to talk about this movie. I'm going to talk about The Founder. The Founder rules. This movie's rules. I love this movie a lot. Michael Keaton is sort of Ray Kroc, yeah, he's great, and the way he kind of just randomly stumbles across this restaurant that does these burgers, and then like basically kind of almost like decides to go into partnership with these guys to create these franchises, but then kind of just doesn't give them credit for it and steals their it's again, you think, oh, a creation of McDonald's, all that, it doesn't sound interesting on paper, but man, they make it interesting. And Michael Keaton is amazing in this movie. He's so good. So yeah, and this is around the year where he was killing it. He just came off Birdman, and this is like, man, what a 1-2. So yeah, The Founder.
Chad, what do you say about The Founder?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have like the same love for it as like a lot of other people do. But I did like watch it on a plane going to my honeymoon. So maybe I owe it a rewatch. But that being said, I did think it was a very interesting, fun movie with some good acting. And you could probably make an argument that it maybe set up for a lot of what we're seeing just this year of movies like it that are coming out and being all, I think, pretty good. So I think it's a very interesting movie that I'd like to rewatch, but I think it's good enough to be on this list. So I'll give it a yes.
Yeah, when this first came out, I was actually working at McDonald's. But I was like, yeah, I'll go see this, and yeah, it's one of those ones like, no, it's actually knowing the history of where you work is probably not always the good idea, because it makes you look at the company differently. And I know there's going to be the argument is like, well, technically not making it was the brothers, but Ray Kroc was the one that made it as big as it is now. If he had not gone to sell them ice cream blenders, McDonald's would have never existed today, most likely. But so it's a yes for me. Austin, what do you say about The Founder?
Oh no, 100% yes. I was sad I missed this one in theaters, just because I think I had the same thing. I was just like, oh, it's just like a McDonald's movie. Like, what is that? And then I caught it later, and I was like, oh man, I'm so sad I missed it in theaters. Yeah, because this movie's great, and yeah, Michael Keaton, part of his sort of renaissance. Definitely, this movie helped with that, and yeah, he's great. And yeah, how he just kind of stole this thing and made it a franchise right out from under those two guys. Yeah, Nick Offerman and what's his name from Volcano. I just say he's from Volcano. He's been in a lot of things. What's the name of the big guy? But yeah, great stuff. Really entertaining movies. Yeah, it's 100% yes. There's gonna be a lot of good movies on this list, and I'm just gonna say yes to. I'll just say that.
And Chris, what did you say about The Founder?
Yeah, I loved The Founder. I saw this on DVD. I thought a really good movie. Keaton phenomenal. Just seeing the Offerman great. The other guy really good, and I forget the guy name as well. But yeah, it's a really good movie. Yeah, for me.
But with that, The Founder makes the list. Chad, we go back to you.
Okay, so a lot of people bringing up a lot of really, really good movies. I missed the prompt where you actually said TV shows. And so then now that you mentioned TV shows are allowed, I'm going to throw out a TV show. And I don't know if this is a little bit of a cheat, because The specific product in the show is not, I don't think, like a real thing, or maybe it was afterwards, but the thing itself is a real thing. Breaking Bad is what I want to throw in. So look, the product is methylamine. And the reason why I think this actually would really work for this list is because, look, it's extremely similar to The Social Network, where you have at the start a very, very likable guy that turned in, or sympathetic guy that turns into a very not sympathetic guy, kind of like what's his face from Social Network. And then he goes to build an empire and a whole thing. And it's not like a real thing, but the product itself is. So this is what I'm pitching. I'd like to get it on the list. Let's see what happens.
Chad, you're always trying to do shit like this in the show. You're adorable.
If we get to my other Andrew Garfield thing, I might be doing it.
You
Oh,
can
man.
veto it, but I'm trying.
Why do you do this to me, Chad?
I'm going to shock people. I've never seen Breaking Bad.
Oh my God, dude.
Austin.
I've seen Breaking Bad. I'm going to say no, because that's like saying I'm going to bring up this thing about people cooking cookies or like, you know, making food, unless it's like a specific thing where it's like the person who made Pepperidge Farm, you know, like, I mean, it's not Walter White's Blue Crystal Meth movie, okay, like where they sell it on the shelves of Walmart. Like, so, I'm sorry, Chad. Based on a you know, a technicality, no. No, but Breaking Bad is not about the creation of Los Pollos Hermanos.
Yeah, it's a spin-off of
Fuck no, Dylan. That doesn't count either. So no, and that's not part of Better Call Saul either. So no, it's not a product that's like available in real life. Like, get out of here. That's the topic tonight. Yeah.
Chris, what do you say about Breaking Bad?
Breaking Bad, the same way I would have bring up my stuff like Mad Men. It not stuff in real life. It's and much I love this show, they don't really count. I love Breaking Bad and one of my top 5 favorite show all time, but I would have bring up it not real scene. No, sorry, Chad.
That's okay. I shot my shot. You got to do it early.
Yeah.
Richie, what would you have said about Breaking
Yeah,
Bad?
if myth wasn't a thing prior to Walter White kind of you know, coming in and making it, then I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
good
He
argument.
invented.
Yes,
But you know, he's making a thing. He's really good at making a thing that already exists. And I don't think it's in the spirit of this thing. But yeah, if he was marketing a product that you know, somehow a legal product you could have at like stores, then I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, I admire you shooting a shot, and then it's a very out there choice. But I'm gonna say no.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, I'm kind of glad Chad did that, because my first pick's going to be a somewhat unconventional, not as bad as what Chad's idea, because it's still a making of an actual. Well, I mean, I haven't seen Breaking Bad, but it's like, but it is a making of an actual movie, even though the story is probably a very fictionalized version of the making of this movie. I'm bringing up Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and like, well, yes, like the story itself is a very fictionalized version. So I'm pretty sure no one died while they were actually making the movie. But look, arguably they are making a Nightmare on Elm Street in the movie, and it's like this whole bit.
I'll talk about that in a second. No, I'll talk about that.
But yeah, I thought I'd bring it up. I'm not going to be upset if it doesn't make the list or anything, because I just want to bring it up because to me it makes sense. But yeah, also, what do you say about New Nightmare?
No, because they're not actually making a Nightmare on Elm Street movie in that movie. So I'm going to be semantical here. They are discussing it, and Wes Craven is trying to tell all the people to make another one in order to contain the demon Freddy. But they're like, we're in that world. Yes, the Nightmare movies exist, and that's fine. But that they don't actually. There's no production of the movie in that movie. It takes place over the course of like 3 days, and there's no actual production of the movie in the movie. So it's not a making of a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, although I'd like to see that. But that's not really what that movie's about. So I'm going to say no.
That's fair. Chris, what do you say about New Nightmare?
But I love New Nightmare. My favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie. The only one I actually really do love. I would have kind of eat it, and not really about really making a Nightmare on Elm Street kind of fictional. So no for me.
Richie, what do you say about New Nightmare?
Yeah, like I love New Nightmare. It's one of my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movies. But yeah, like Austin said, it's not really about making the movie. It's about like getting them together to potentially make another sequel in order to slave off Freddy. But they don't actually go into actual making the movie. So there's no creating. Yeah, it's just a discussion point. There's a meeting. There's a potential there. So yeah. If it was a making of a movie and it was fictionalized, I'd be like I'd have more. To and fro over it. But yeah, there's no actual production, so I have to say no.
Chad, what do you say about New Nightmare?
I mean, I tried to be groundbreaking so that I could pave the way for some bold choices like Malcolm's here, but Austin makes a really great bouncer, I gotta say. So that being
I'm
said,
swatting away the bullshit at the door.
that being said, no, I do agree that if Breaking Bad definitely doesn't count for this list, which makes sense, then this also wouldn't, because I wanted to also put this on my list because I was like, it's kind of like Ed Wood, but it's not Ed Wood because that's an actual movie. This is not. So yeah, no, I definitely agree. Although great movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's worth a shot. I mean, if I go over shoot my shot, it's going to be my first pick I'm going to do. I'm not going to try doing
Right.
try to get the last spot.
Yeah, I get it.
But also, we go back to you. What is your next?
Well, that's why I had to adhere to what you titled this about, like real stuff, because there are other things where they make like fictional movies, they make whatever that I had to kind of I considered, but I didn't touch on my actual list. But I'll go with one where the actual movie does exist, unbelievably so, because it's a wild movie. I'm going to go with a fairly recent one. Let's go Eddie Murphy and Dolomite Is My Name.
Yeah.
Which is a great movie. About this guy Eddie Murphy playing Rudy Ray Moore, who kind of started out becoming like sort of a stand-up comedian-ish sort of thing, telling these crazy stories, and eventually he's like, hey, let me take this character I created for the stage and let's make a movie. And they try to make a movie, and it is a real movie called Dolomite, which I have proof that it's a real movie because I got it on Blu-ray right here. There's Dolomite, and yeah, it's the creationist thing. They sort of recreate a lot of the scenes in the movie, and it's him kind of getting it out there, kind of became an underground hit. One of these kind of 70s blaxploitation movies. But Eddie Murphy's amazing in it. I actually could have rallied behind him getting an Oscar nomination for it. I think he's really, really great. He's due for one at some point. If he keeps doing stuff like this, I'd be all for it. Don't do crummy comedies. Just do stuff like interesting movies like this where you are funny, but it's like, not goofy, silly, stupid stuff. So yeah, Dolomite Is My Name will be my next nomination.
So judging by Chris's reaction, he's going to say no. Chris, what do you say about Dolomite?
I love this movie. This is probably my top 5 favorite Eddie Murphy performance. I see Wesley Snipes is great, and I see the whole cast is great. I see very funny, very outrageous at times, but it's such a good movie about making a movie, and it's a huge yes for me.
Richie, what do you say about Dolomite Is My Name?
Yeah, I have to say yes. It's a really good movie, and I forgot about it. But yeah, Dolomite's a real movie, and it's I feel if you think like Eddie Murphy's on the down, like maybe on the downswing, watch this movie. He's really. I wish he'd do more stuff like this. He's really good. Look, as much as I'll watch Beverly Hills Cop, Axel Foley, whatever the fuck it's gonna be called, but I'd rather him do stuff like this. So yeah, I'd say yes.
Chad, what do you say about Dolomite Is My Name?
Yeah, I really like this movie a lot as well. I thought it was really funny, kind of like opened my eyes to more like blaxploitation type of things, like Black Dynamite and all that stuff. I actually need to go back and watch the actual old blaxploitation movies like Dolomite, but
like Human Tornado, which Rudy Ray Moore also made, which is hilarious.
And
also,
the Foxy Brown stuff and all that, but. This one was really funny, but also had like a really good story and a great performance from Eddie Murphy. It's really all I can say about it from like what I remember. But I remember like a lot of these scenes of actually shooting the movie and trying to get the movie made, on like a very small budget and a guy trying to make something of himself, and it's just a really good story of that. So, yes, for sure.
Yeah, I'm not as high on Dolomite as my name is everyone else, but I do think it's a good movie. And yeah, I do see a world in which Eddie Murphy could have got nominated to put an Oscar there. I want to imagine he was definitely sort of that sixth or seventh spot on their nominations, like just on the outside. But yeah, it's a yes for me for Dolomite. And we go over to Chris. What is your next nomination?
No, I do Paul Malcolm and Chadstein.
Yes.
Do you save it for a little later? But I
All
thought,
right, let me get my bouncing skills ready. Here we go. All right.
no, Austin would say no because I'm not a fan of this genre. But I don't bring out the other Andrew Garfield one. It about the making of a Broadway scene. It's Tick Tick Boom. It's about him writing his story of it is the actual Broadway scene that never happened and what led to Tick Tick Boom. At the end. I think this is a great thing. It showed the
What's the
workshop.
name again?
What?
I didn't catch what it is. What's it called? Tick
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 Boom.
Boom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it showed like the workshop. It showed the rehearsal process. You show him writing music, everything. See, a great exploration who Johnson Lawson is, but also show like how it's going to making a Broadway show, and it does a great job of showing, him struggling to find the money, struggling, to write the music in time for the workshop, where that, they'd be the last thing he ever wrote. I see a beautiful look at Johnson Lawson style. I see a phenomenal performance, Andrew Garfield, and we do get a musical about a musical. Had to be on Tick Tick Boom. It's great movie. It does end with the actual thing of Tick Tick Boom. That is sort of how he came about why the story and everything. So yeah, unconventional, but I am musical guy. Had to be on something musical related. Yeah.
Richie, what do you say about Tick Tick Boom?
Have not seen it.
Chad, what do you say about Tick Tick Boom?
Richie, you should check that shit out because it's fantastic. I really do think that should have gotten a Best Picture nomination. I think Lin-Manuel came in and crushed that with his first directorial thing. However, I'm going to say, Chris, this was actually on my list because I thought about it and I was like, does this count? But then I was thinking, like, you know what? Like, why would, Facebook be a product but not a musical? It's something that you're actually making to go to sell. So, and it shows the creation of Superbia, which I can't even remember if that actually got a run, but
it didn't. But what led to him writing Tick Tick Boom?
exactly. But Tick Tick Boom was itself also a musical, on Broadway or whatever. And then a lot of the themes go into talking about how Jonathan Larson created Rent, which basically changed the landscape of musical theater. So. I do think this movie is incredible. I would personally count this, so I'm interested to see, if the other guys think so as well, because it is creating a product that they are going to sell, and I do think they do it in a very great way. I mean, Andrew Garfield, like who would have thought that he had that in him? He basically can do anything, and just like you were saying. Even though it is specific products, it is also just about the process of writing a musical and like what it takes to be a genius, but not be appreciated in your own time, and then wondering if you should even bother. And then people saying, "Look, I have to work this menial job." You're a genius, and you shouldn't squander what you have. You have a gift to give the world. So,
and it does show like the workshop. It shows like the rehearsal, him doing the rehearsal. Right?
yeah. So yes.
Yeah. So I mean, I like the musical. I do think it's good. But I'm going to say no just because the actual musical that he's writing in the movie wasn't produced, like it's not one that they have performed. If they had performed it, then yeah, I probably would have been with you, but it is an unproduced musical, and I actually did look that up just to be absolutely sure. So yeah, it's a no for me. Austin, what would you have said about Tick Tick Boom?
I'm on the borderline because it was based on a real project that kind of almost got off the ground, and so it has a basis in reality. I just haven't seen the movie, so I don't know.
Yeah,
check it out. It's great.
It's
well,
so
you don't
good.
love musicals. That's right. I forgot.
I'm not a musical guy, so the only thing that's come close to I like some Disney stuff in Greece. That's about it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Singing in the Rain.
I mean, there may be an unconventional pick, but it's an unconventional pick rooted in reality, though, Chris. So you've got that on my chat. But Richie, what's the next pick?
I'm trying to steer away from movies about movies, but there's the only ones I can think of at the moment. So I'm going to do it again. And another movie in the style of like Ed Wood, in the sense of making of a bad movie and a really good movie. I'm going to go The Disaster Artist.
Yep.
Disaster Artist is a really good movie. I think I think it's fascinating. I think Tommy Wiseau is just a fascinating character in general, just a fascinating person, and I think they really captured that in this movie. I think, say what you will about James Franco now, he does a really good job. I think Dave Franco does a really good job. And then there's the supporting cast. When you got Seth Rogen in there, you got Jackie Weaver that popped up in there. Like they're all really good, and just like those. That's the insight of the mind of this dude, and then how he's like, maybe not a talented filmmaker in the slightest, but like it's just there's something just intensely likable about him, and then like that scene at the end, that kind of just he's very just very mysterious dude, but then how you also almost feel bad for like Greg, who's like it's tough with this dude, but he's got his loyalty to this guy, like to the point where. It's probably cost him, opportunities in his career. Like, that scene where he was supposed to be on Malcolm in the Middle, but had some loyalty to Tommy Wiseau. He had to shave off his hair. Let's shave off his hair. But I just think it's just a fascinating watch. And I think I mean, The Room was already a cult classic, but I think it helped make Room all that more popular. And it's just a really fascinating movie. So Disaster Artist.
Chad, what do you say about The Disaster Artist?
I'm not a so bad it's good movie watcher that much, but I love The Room. So that's like one of my big movies that I try to watch every year. Oddly enough, around like New Year's Eve is kind of like when I watch that movie for some reason. I think I watched it with friends like that once, and then I was like, let's make this a tradition. This is fun. But it's a very fun movie. But then The Disaster Artist just really put like a new layer onto that, and making Tommy Wiseau a character as much as he is in real life a character. James Franco really crushed making him into a movie character, and I love that whole kind of arc where he's actually trying to be legitimate, unaware that he's actually doing something very bad and terrible, but then realizes that he can turn it into something else. And just this movie is just really a laugh riot like the whole time. When like Seth Rogen's character finds out that he has money in the bank, and he's like, wait, he's actually legit. And then my other part that I laughed at more than any other was Zac Efron as Chris R. and PETA as Denny. And when they're up there and you get to see Zac Efron beat up PETA from the Hunger Games, I thought that was incredible, and I just could not stop laughing at that. I love this movie. I think it's a great pick, and when I was talking about Ed Wood, all I could think about was The Disaster Artist also has to be on here. So yes.
The Room is one of those very fascinating movies that that on the Take 3 channel is a watch along that me and a bunch of people did, and we're watching The Room for the very first time. So it's a really entertaining watch. But in fact, I believe we did it in honor of Disaster Artist anyway. But I love Disaster. This is fun. I kind of wish this got more love at the Oscars than what it did, but then again, the James Franco of it all kind of halted that in its path. But I'm going to say yes to Disaster Artist. Austin, what do you say about Disaster Artist?
Oh yeah, no. When I found out they were making a movie about making The Room, I was ecstatic because I had already seen it twice in the theater. I had it on DVD. I watched it all the time. I've seen it. I'm probably going to go see it again when they have it on the 27th of this month. Fathom Events is doing a 20th anniversary of The Room in theaters again. I'll go watch it again. And yeah, it might even not even be my own time this month because me and Wolfman are going to do a live drinking game. We're going to put the movie on the screen and drink along with it and get destroyed to the room. So no, this movie's great. It makes for a great double feature with Ed Wood. If you haven't seen either one, just watch Ed Wood, Disaster Artist back to back. They're very similar, and they're really great. So yeah, no, it's an absolute yes for Disaster Artist.
Chris, what do you say about the Disaster Artist?
I want to do people. I hate the room. If I cannot even finish it, I went on a rant on Facebook a long time ago about it.
Well, that's not incorrect. It is a horrible movie.
Yeah.
You just have to appreciate it as a horrible movie.
But I love the Disaster Artist. It made me appreciate how, even though I hate the movie that it's based on about, I loved it. I think James Franco great. I think Dave Franco great. I like the Bryan Cranston cameo. Seth Rogen, everybody bring their A game and to make it so funny. I did not do it. I did hit that whole when they shoot up that whole scene. It's freaking hysterical. Yeah, yes for me.
Disaster Artist is going to make this list. Chad, we go back to you.
All right. Yeah. So this one, I mean, it is different, but I totally think this one counts. Like, I'm not doing a whole preamble like I did with Breaking Bad. But this one, and I made sure previously because I'm pitching a documentary. And let me make sure I get the title absolutely correct. It is Hearts of Darkness, a filmmaker's apocalypse. So I'm pitching this one because it is legitimately the making of a movie. It is Apocalypse Now is the movie that and it's just a really enthralling documentary. If you look up like any of the documentaries that are about the creation of something or like a movie, this is like number one on like most lists because it is just so fascinating on how crazy this production was. Had such a huge big level. Francis Ford Coppola putting like all of his money into this project to get it made, and somehow by pure like editing or something like that, they were able to make a great movie that or arguably a great movie that got a Best Picture nom. So I think it's really incredible showing how a film gets made like in like real life, like realistically, but then also just like kind of like how intense this process was specifically for this film, for this filmmaker, and how kind of like after this he wasn't the same person or filmmaker at all. So I just think this is an incredible watch. Not sure how many people have actually seen the documentary, but this is just to say, hey, check that documentary out. I think it's incredible. I think it's just as good as Ed Wood and the Disaster Artist. It's just a documentary, not a film, I guess, whatever.
This has been on my list to watch for the longest time. I just haven't been able to find it anywhere.
Had to buy it.
But I would like to see a TV series about the making of Apocalypse Now. Austin, what do you say about Hearts of Darkness?
Yeah, I've seen it. I'm obsessed with the making of Apocalypse Now and the actual movie. So yeah, I've watched Hearts of Darkness, and yeah, the documentary thing is interesting because if it's a documentary where it's just talking heads talking about the making of a movie, I'm gonna say no. But this one, literally, the actual documentary is just all the footage that his wife shot, kind of just behind the scenes. Like she just had a camera herself and just started, this production got so wild, she just started filming stuff, Coppola, her husband, freaking out about things, the typhoon that happened that wiped out all the sets. She filmed Marlon Brando showing up completely overweight and bald, for when he wasn't supposed to be, for Colonel Kurtz. Like she filmed all this stuff and him on the phone arguing with the studios and all this. And so the movie is literally just all this stuff that she shot mashed into sort of a narrative thing, but it's not like anybody talking retrospectively, about it. It's just all this footage. So because of that, Chad, I will say yes. Because if it was a movie about like, here's 10 people and we cut back and forth and some footage from the movie just talking about the movie, I'll say no. I'll just lay that out there for documentaries. But for this one, because it's literally that, I'll say yes.
It's kind of a mishmash of stuff made into a narrative movie, kind of like Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, basically. Whatever footage we could salvage and we put it all into there. Yeah, for sure.
Chris, what do you say about Hearts of Darkness?
I have not seen it. I still have not seen Apocalypse Now. I'd rather see Apocalypse Now first before I watch the documentary. But that the process of
Any Blu-ray set or this 4K set usually comes with Hearts of Darkness on a separate disc. I'll say that. Pretty much anyone you see out there.
next time I go to FYE, I will look for Apocalypse Now before the end of the documentary.
Yeah.
I will want to take it, but I haven't seen it. The documentary.
But Richie, have you seen Hearts of Darkness?
I actually have. I watched it maybe like a year ago. It's really fascinating. I think I was probably a year ago. I was talking about it with Austin that made me kind of wanted to watch it. So yeah, it's a very fascinating thing. It's probably one of the more fascinating production. I knew about the production. I knew bits and pieces about the production of it. Apocalypse Now and how crazy it was. So yeah, just to hear the full story is amazing. So yeah, I'm glad that Chad brought it up. I think it deserves to be on this list. So yeah, no, definitely yes.
It's like you kind of have to agree it got past the bouncer. So
I'm the bullshit detector on this episode. I usually call myself the voice of reason anyway. So yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, I will count it. But if you start bringing up like Never Sleep Again or something like that, the big Nightmare on Elm Street documentary, that's just talking heads with footage, and I'm going to say no. Just on you right now.
My list.
Yeah, right. I'm going to say no to that shit because then you could bring up 50,000 documentaries about the movie making. So
It's the same way I feel about how much I like the documentary about 80 horror. No, I would not be now.
But anyway, I'm going to step away from movies about movies for a little bit, and I'm going to go onto TV shows about movies. I'm going to just on the back there. I thought there's about the right time to bring up The Offer because
you stole my pick.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd already hinted to about Hearts of Darkness. I was like, well, go ahead and do it.
It's tailor made to do something like The Offer. You've already got Dan Fogler who played Coppola in The Offer.
Yeah.
Just make one about Apocalypse Now and have him reprise his role as Francis Ford Coppola. It's right there for the taking.
Yeah, I would talk about this beforehand.
Just do it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And you could call it The Horror.
That's what I said on Facebook. Don't you steal my jokes, Malcolm. Call it The Horror.
But anyway, I mean, I'm a big fan of The Godfather. I think they're great movies, even if Jordan Anderson may not agree. But this TV show was great, and it was just really fascinating just seeing sort of like how much that went on behind the scenes of the making of this. I really hope they do more like series or movies that about some of the other movies, like Wizard of Oz. I think deserves one itself as well. But yeah, Austin, what do you say about The Offer?
No, 100%. That's why I watched The Offer, because I was already obsessed with The Godfather around the time it came out. And sure, they exaggerate a few things here and there. And, there's some stuff about the mob that didn't exactly happen, things like that. But it still makes for a really fascinating sort of one-off miniseries. Yeah, it was really well done. I love Miles Teller. This is the first one I saw Miles Teller and kind of thought of him as a grown-up. Like he wasn't playing kind of sort of a youngish, guy. And I really enjoyed it. I love Juno Temple as well. She was really fun. And yeah, Dan Fogler was great as Coppola. Yeah, like I said, make one of these about Apocalypse Now. Make one of these about Back to the Future. Make one of these about Wizard of Oz. Any of these productions that had, movies that had wild sort of behind the scenes making ofs or struggles. I think you can make these and it'd be a lot of fun. So yeah, I hope they make more stuff like The Offer, but I really love this. I'll say yes.
If they made one about Back to the Future, you could just get Christopher Lloyd to play himself. He's still pretty much looks the same.
Yeah, kind of. You might be able, but you could get somebody to play Eric Stoltz.
Yeah,
because that would be a big part of the wild making of that movie. So yeah.
But Chris, what do you say about The Offer?
Austin would talk about this beforehand. The TV show we both like. I love this show. I watch it on Paramount Plus. I tell it's great. The two stand out for me were Matthew Good and Robert Evan. I thought were really.
Matthew Good was great. He was so
he
good.
should have got an Emmy nomination honestly for the show. And Ben Goodman and Charles Booker, I thought was so. Like every time he popped up and his crazy over top thing was so good. Oh, cast is great. Dan Fogler proved once again how good an actor he is. That Richie give him more stuff to do as an actor. Whenever he does pop up, he is usually good. Yeah, yes for me. I love The Godfather. I read the book that show was based on. The book is really good, and the TV show is really good about. Like,
Richie, what do you say about The Offer?
I mean, yeah. I kind of showed my hand before. Yeah, I was going to bring this up. I was like, if I was going to bring up a TV show, I was going to bring up this. But yeah, it's it's great, and yeah, probably one of Miles' better roles. I think it's sort of his comeback. He kind of prior to like maybe Top Gun Maverick, he kind of fell off for a bit there, but and he's really good. Everyone's really good, but yeah. So I think that's something that we should have. It definitely should be on the list, and I mean if they do a Back to the Future one, it'll be Eric Stoltz will be like, dude, could you start reminding me that I could have had a better career than what I have?
Well, maybe not. That movie might have failed. They said it might have failed because he wasn't very good. So that movie might have just been a one-off and would have died a death and would just be an anomaly. I don't know. Alternate future, I guess, right?
Yeah. So no, it definitely is.
Chad, what do you say about The Offer?
I'm the only one on here who hasn't seen it yet. I've been meaning to get around to it, but I keep forgetting about it when I'm like making talking about like what TV shows to watch next. But you guys talking about it and then like listing the cast really makes me want to like check it out now. So
yeah,
I probably will soon.
Yeah. I mean, it may be a streaming show, but it's also on physical media, just in case Paramount Plus decides to take it off. But with that, The Offer does make this list, and we go back to Austin.
Yeah, I'll bring up another one of my favorite movies of the last decade or so. Movie I've watched many times. Let's bring up The Wolf of Wall Street. Based on the real life Stratton Oakmont, which people maybe not realize. But yeah, Jordan Belfort was a real guy. Stratton Oakmont, his company, was a real company. The rise and demise of Stratton Oakmont and all the shenanigans that ensued within that. Probably my favorite Martin Scorsese movie to this point. I love Goodfellas and Casino, Raging Bull and stuff, but I've watched this movie so many times, probably 50 times. Like, I love it. I think it's one of the most entertaining movies ever made. And, if anything, they didn't get even the real Jordan Belfort said the movie, real life was even crazier than the stuff they did in the movie. So they didn't even show some of the real debauchery that went on at Stratton Oakmont. But yeah, it's a really fascinating business movie. All these guys going crazy with their money and everything. But great movie. So let's try The Wolf of Wall Street.
Chris, what do you say about The Wolf of Wall Street?
This was a film I would debating on an offer putting on my list but I'm happy Austin brought up. I love this film. I'm not sure if it is counted or not because I thought more about Jordan Belfort than the company itself. But if everybody else said yes, it'd be yes for me. This is one of my favorite Martin Scorsese movie. Probably my favorite DiCaprio performance up to date so far. That might change once Killer Fellow movie come out, but he should have won the Oscar for this. Jonah Hill was great, and Margot Robbie great for performance from her in the movie. Huge yes for me.
Richie, what do you say about The Wolf of Wall Street?
Yeah, I was thinking about this. I was like, oh, it can't. But yeah, I'm glad it's brought up. Then yeah, absolutely, it's one of my favorite Scorsese movies. I'll say yes to any context it's brought up in. I will say yes to. Yes, it's everything about it is great. And I don't really have much more to add, really. But yeah, I do like the story. I don't know how much of a thing behind the scenes. I do like the story how like Jonah Hill didn't actually make a lot of didn't make a lot of money from this film just because he wanted the chance to work for Scorsese, so he didn't actually I think he only worked.
He worked for like basically Scale, which is like minimum wage acting.
Yeah,
essentially, which is like $200 a day or something like that.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah. So and he crashed it. I think it's all things his best role. So yeah. So absolutely yes.
Chad, what do you say about The Wolf of Wall Street?
I'll do my quick plug here. Check out the Dill Pickle Movie Network where we do Picture This. It's a show about best picture movies, and we did 2013 last month. I rank this more closer to, I think, the middle, maybe the lower half of that slate personally, just because I have some issues with it. Although I do think it is a very fun movie in a lot of ways. Like I love the Quaalude scene. That whole thing I just think is incredible. You know, with them just like high out of their minds, and the phone cord getting wrapped around the dude's neck, and just Jonah Hill, just let him like, come on to crack with me, bro, and just all this stuff. It's just like a lot of really fun stuff. I personally think Leo is a little bit over the top in this one. And then I think it like kind of embellishes Jordan Belfort a little too much, especially because he's in the movie, which I think is cringe when I'm watching it. But that being said, I do like the movie, so I would have said yes.
Yeah, I'm annoyed at myself for actually not thinking of this one. But
That's
yeah, it
why
is.
I'm the brains behind this operation, Malcolm. It's all good. I got you guys.
But yeah, it is more about the making of the company than it is about his life. So yeah, it's a definite yes for me. So Wolf of Wall Street does make this list, and we go to Chris.
You know what? I don't shoot for a movie from this year. I don't see the obvious one for later, but I think Austin would back me up on this one. A great movie that not a lot of people have seen yet, Blackberry. It is one of the best movie that not a lot of people heard about, but when you watch it, it's so interesting. It's well acted. Glenn Harrington in the movie is phenomenal. I never watched it Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but he is so good in this movie, playing such a unlikable douchebag in this movie. But his not knowing a lot of references, and then his control over the company, and James Barshow, love the actor. This is his best performance I ever seen him give in anything I ever seen him give. He's so good in this movie. Never seen Blackberry, do check it out. I'm sure the other one from this year will be well later, but I wanted to bring up something that should get a lot more attention.
He's an unlikable douchebag, and It's Always Sunny too.
Yeah.
Richie, what do you say about Blackberry?
Haven't had a chance to check it out yet, so I have to stay.
Chad, what do you say about Blackberry?
A friend of mine threw his list over at me, and that was the one that I saw that I was like, wait, that is a movie that came out very recently, and one that I've been meaning to check out. So I rented it and I started watching it. I'm like half an hour in, so I don't know if it like counts, and I don't know if it's like good enough so far for me to give it like a blind yes. So I'm wondering. I'm gonna give it a blind yes because I've heard it's great.
Yeah, I was about to say because
It only gets better from there, Chad.
Okay.
Just say yes.
It gets crazier from there.
I actually wasn't super into the first 20 minutes, but it got way better after that.
Especially when Michael Ironside's on it, it gets crazier.
Basically, once Dennis from Was Always Sunny kind of like starts taking them in the direction of the company, it gets way better. Trust me. Yes.
Yeah. I'm like Richie. I'm just waiting for it to release down this end of the world. I haven't had any way of watching this. I mean, I could have pirated it, but I don't pirate it unless I have to. But Austin, what do you say about Blackberry?
Yeah, no, I have seen it in theaters. I had to go to like this little art house theater here in Asheville. It was the only one showing it, and but I'm glad I did because yeah, it's one of my. As of right now, it'll be in my top of the year. I mean, we got a whole another half a year to go.
Number 5 on that list.
But yeah, we got a whole another half a year to go, so we'll see what happens. But it'll at least make those honorable mention territory for sure. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Again, it's only added to all these movies that have come out this year that maybe we'll bring up one or two more of them. We'll see. But yeah, Blackberry was a lot of fun, and yeah, it starts out a little slow, but I think it takes off once, like I said, once Dennis from Sully Sunny like takes over the company and helps them out. Like it really takes off, and it's great. And yeah, Michael Ironside was a lot of fun doing what he does best, just scowling at people and yelling at people. He's great. And yeah, and I'll just say this: if you love the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, watch this movie because there's a lot of references to that movie, like a lot of references to that movie. So yeah, but yeah, it's a definite yes for me. I really enjoyed Blackberry.
But with that, Blackbird is going to make this list. Richie, we go back to you.
All right, I'm going to bring up, because it's not really about him necessarily, it's about his company. I'm going to bring up, from 2015, I'm going to bring up Steve Jobs.
Yes.
It's a great movie. Certainly better than the Ashton Kutcher one that came out a few years prior. And Fassbender is great. He's great. Seth Rogen's great as well. So, it's got a great cast, and it's about like Apple Inc. that he started from 1994 to 1998. I think it is. It's just a great. It's just a great a great biopic, and he doesn't necessarily sometimes come across as he comes across as obviously like every human person, but I think it's a great biopic, and then a great story about a company that didn't necessarily obviously he became a very successful person, but it tells you that even like big companies can fail, can ultimately have their hiccups and fail, I'm gonna go Steve Jobs. I think it's good.
Chad, what do you say about Steve Jobs?
I haven't seen this one. I saw it. I haven't seen either of the Jobs movies. I know this is the better one, or the actual good one, I guess. And I really wanted to watch it for this, but I saw it too late, and then I was like, I guess I can't remember if I had trouble finding it. It might be on like Stars or something. But yeah, I want to check it out, and looking at the reactions to the mention of it, I think it's probably going to make it. So cool. I'll check it out.
I haven't got around to seeing this. I made the mistake of thinking it was a biopic, so I just didn't think of checking it out for this. Austin, what do you say about Steve Jobs?
Yeah, I really like Steve Jobs. It may have been one of Michael Fassbender's last great performances or last great movies we've seen in a while. I know he's still working and stuff, but yeah, he's really great in this. He really carries it. And yeah, the most fascinating segment of the movie, because it kind of bounces between like three different time periods, is when they're about to release the Mac, like the late 90s Mac. Remember the one that came in all the funky colors? Like you can get a neon green or a pink one or whatever. Like, yeah, it's kind of during the release of that. He has some great back and forth with Seth Rogen. If you don't think Seth Rogen is like a great actor, watch this movie, and he plays Steve Wozniak, and he's really great. They have some good back and forth stuff. But yeah, it's definitely about sort of the rise of Apple and these different products they're launching and stuff. So I think it counts. It's on my list, so I'll say yes to Steve Jobs.
Chris, what do you say about Steve Jobs?
I love this movie. It's probably one of my favorite Danny Boyle movie. It's great performance for Michael Fassbender. Kate Winslet's great in it. Seth Rogen phenomenal in it. But yeah, it's a great movie. The fact that they had like 3 different events on Apple to help make it onto this list to me, was it there, then it was more of a biopic. But yes for me.
But that Steve Jobs does make the list.
So much fun.
But Chad, we go back to you.
I'll go with another kind of conventional, like recent pick, and I'll go Air, just because I know there's a little. I feel like there's been kind of a mixed reception for this one, but I really loved it. I would not be mad if it got a Best Picture nomination. It might have came out too early for that, and maybe not too many people have seen it. I'm not sure. I hope it does, though, because I thought it was fantastic. I love the 80s aesthetic. Ben Affleck, did a great job, I think, directing this. I don't care that much about basketball. I was a big Space Jam fan back in the day, but like I'm not like someone who had like a Michael Jordan poster on his wall or anything like that. I've never really worn Air Jordans, but I liked the movie that was about the creation of it, because I liked the stuff that Matt Damon was talking about. I liked his like inspirational moments of, this is what we should do, this is what we should create, this is how we bring Nike to like the forefront, whereas they were kind of like small dogs at the time, I guess, which I didn't even know. So I learned a lot in this movie, and just the big inspirational scene where he's like throwing away the playbook and is like just talking to them like real. I was like, this is some incredible stuff, talking about like aspiring to greatness and how, you know, most people want to experience that, but most people never will, and maybe only one or a few people actually will. So there's a lot of great themes in it. I love the 80s style stuff and the music, you know, starting with Dire Straits, you know, it's just really great. So and Ben Affleck was really, really funny on the movie, like when he showed up late to the meeting. It's so great. I loved Air, so yeah.
Yeah, it is really good. I didn't expect to love it as much as possible, and I mean it's one of those well, yes, it's really only a year, but like I think we can't count out movies if it came out too early now, because I think if you think Every All at Once is a good example of a movie that came out early but still sort of held that momentum. I think Air can do the same. And yeah, it's definitely an easy yes for me. So, Austin, what do you say about Air?
Yeah, it's going to be an easy yes for me because it's my second favorite movie of the year so far. No, I loved Air. I thought Air was great. Yeah, it's great. And I don't even love basketball either. I was a big 90s basketball fan. But like I said, I'm loving these movies. So like I've pretty much liked every single one of them that's come out this year. And yeah, Air I think is the top of the heap right now for the batch. But yeah, I really loved it. Thought Matt Damon's great. He's just such a reliable cast. You know, Bateman and Ben Affleck, and then like Chris Tucker was great in this movie. Doing what he does best. He needs to do more movies where he's just a fast talking business guy or something. I think he's perfect for that. He's perfect in his role in this movie. He doesn't have to be doing karate. We don't have to do another Rush Hour movie. I know they probably will, but like I don't need that. Like do more stuff like this, Chris Tucker. I think you're really good at it. And he's delightful. Viola Davis is great. So great cast, great movie. If you haven't seen it yet, please get on Prime and watch it. It's really good. So
Chris, what do you say about Air?
Up until the first week in June, it was my favorite movie of the year so far. I love this movie. This is now my second behind Spider-Man, but I love this movie. This is a phenomenal movie. The script is great. Marlon Wayne is really good in his one scene. I rewatched it recently with my family. I haven't seen it. But he talked about the Martin Luther King letter and him meeting him. Like he should do more better stuff things with Chris Tucker. But everybody's great in it. At first I was afraid I would have liked the idea that they don't show Michael Jordan, but I think that speech at the end make up for that fact. I think that was such a well-written speech. I think it should get a best screenplay nomination. I haven't done it at the original adapted, but Matt Damon is probably one of my top 5 favorite performances for him. I think he's phenomenal in the movie. I think he should be in the contention of well. Like that scene speech alone is my best actor nominations thing. Like pretty huge yes for me.
Yeah, I think this will count towards adapted screenplay personally. But Richie, what do you say about Air?
Yeah, I got around to it when it came out on Amazon. So yeah, it's great. It gets recent, but it has to. Yeah, I think it has to be on this list. It's amazing. It's phenomenal. I feel bad for like Ben Affleck because he always has this pattern where he he'll have like a really good movie that has a lot of praise and then people are like but in the back of his mind is like don't get too hyped up. I've got a shit movie in the can that's coming out later. And
Hypnotic is my favorite bad movie of the year.
It's a favorite bad movie. It's really bad.
A movie that came out 1 month later to be
it's really great if you love bad movies.
And also I'm not much of a basketball guy now, but I was in the 90s. I was that guy with like Michael Jordan, all this Michael Jordan stuff. I still got like a Michael Jordan like figure that talks like from Space Jam somewhere around here. But yeah, I remember I had like a big poster, like on the bathroom, like it's like a height type poster, like a Hakeem Olajuwon from like the Houston Rockets at one point. Just I don't know. Like I was a big 90s. I had all these basketball cards. So yeah, but yeah. So I do like that era, and yeah, they do make things like I appreciate movies that don't make things that interesting on paper, make things interesting, sort of like this, and something that doesn't really count because it's not then invented draft, but like something like Draft Day, which I'm not really interested in, but the movie's really interesting. So yeah, I would say yes, definitely.
And that it doesn't matter. We've got one spot left. So I'm gonna try this and see what happens. I'm at the moment I've only got one TV show on here. I'm gonna try and bring up another one. No, it's nothing like that. It's
Okay.
an
You're wondering if people have seen it. Okay, it's probably where you're going. Okay.
Yeah, the TV show I'm going to bring up is Welcome to Chippendales. It's the story about the guy who created the Chippendales strip club and all that, which ended up being a kind of a murder mystery than anything. But like they still sort of show him making the company and doing all that. But it was just a really interesting story. I think Kumail Nanjiani was just really good in this movie. It's like, and it's also got like you've also got like Dan Stevens popping up briefly as Paul Snyder, Mary Bartlett, but this TV show is just really interesting, and I really enjoyed every second of it. Like being in New Zealand, I had no idea what Chippendales really was. I heard a lot about it, but But Austin, what do you say about Welcome to Chippendales?
I'd say it sounds interesting to watch, but this is the first time I'm ever hearing about it. There's too many damn TV shows. All these TV shows slip through the cracks, and there's too much TV and too much good TV, and I don't have time for TV. I'm a movie guy. So unless it's something like The Offer, where it's about the making of a movie, I'm probably not going to watch it. So or Cobra Kai, which is a spinoff of a movie, I'm probably not going to watch it. So or just not have time for it. Not that I won't, but I haven't seen it, so I'm sorry. I have to abstain.
Chris, what do you say about Welcome to Chippendales?
Much I like this show, and I haven't seen all of it, but I watch a lot with my family when they were watching it. I would give a slight no. I think the performance are good. I think the story is good. We have one more spot left, and I don't rely on a movie that I dedicate myself having brought up. Yes or no for me. Fine.
Richie, what do you say about Welcome to Chippendales?
I know about the TV show. I haven't seen it. I think after the Eternals, Kumail Nanjiani finds any excuse to show off his new body. There's many,
You're not a Chippendale dancer in it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I have not seen it. Admittedly, I'm more of a movie guy as well. But yeah, like I don't know, I'd say check it out. But yeah, I just find that there's a lot of TV shows, and I can't watch all them all. But maybe one day, who knows? But yeah, I haven't seen it.
Chad, what do you say about Welcome to Chippendales?
Well, I am actually like very much so a TV guy, but I also still haven't heard of this. But it sounds interesting, so maybe I'll check it out
on Hulu.
Yeah. Yeah, I was about to say I'm pretty sure it's still on Hulu. I don't think it was removed with the whole purge they just recently did. Or for me and Richie, it's on Disney Plus. Because where else would a strip show, a movie about a strip club go? But Austin, we go back to you for your next nomination.
I have a pretty good track record, Malcolm, of being able to bring it home in that number 12 spot. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to get it with this one. Let's bring up Saving Mr. Banks. About the making of Mary Poppins. Great movie. I love Mary Poppins, one of my favorite movies of all time. Tom Hanks nails the role of Walt Disney. I think, showing the Sherman Brothers are really fun, and Emma Thompson is great as P.L. Travers, kind of, exonating all the stuff in the script, about that they're changing and the songs, and she kind of comes around and they actually get a chance to, watch the movie at the end. And I know some of it, again, is exaggerated or a little bit changed from the movie. But it is what it is. It's a movie. It's a Hollywood movie. You got to do what you got to do. But yeah, even those other segments with Colin Farrell, with the family life are good. But the stuff about making of Mary Poppins is great, and I think it should definitely be on this list. So I'll say Saving Mr. Banks.
Chris, what do you say about Saving Mr. Banks?
This is very tough. We're down to our last spot, and originally I was going to bring it up to realize another movie on my list I forgot about. But I like this movie. I actually do love this movie. I think Colin Farrell should have got maybe a nomination for that. I think this is probably one of his best performances I think give in the movie. I think he's great, and I think Emma Thompson great and Tom Hanks is great. Paul Giamatti really good at the driver for Emma Thompson. Like this scene is really sweet. I did give a slight no because that's one I might bring up, and nobody else said yes to this. Mike did yes, so no for me.
Richie, what do you say about Saving Mr. Banks?
Yeah, I never thought about this one, but I think the ones I was going to bring up I don't think are as, in hindsight, aren't as strong as that one. So I'll leave it to Chad and you. So I'll go yes.
Chad, what do you say about Saving Mr. Banks?
I've regrettably never seen it, but I really want to. I need to check this one out. Yeah, I love Mary Poppins too. So yeah.
I love Saving Mr. Banks. And I think Jacob Barb will be disappointed with us if it doesn't make the list. So I'm going to say yes.
Yeah. My track record is flawless about bringing it home at number 12.
Again.
But we'll go on mentions. Chris, what's some on mentions that you had?
The one I was going to bring up, and I didn't realize until I forgot about it a little bit. Ford versus Ferrari, about the making of the protocol racing car. For that, I think that what I was going to bring up next. That a bunch, right? Every county, like, Ride and Fall or like group and like companies out Australia Compton about the Ride and Fall NWA. I thought about that a little bit. I thought about using, but for versus Ferrari, my last big one, I would have brought up.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think of Ford v Ferrari. I mean, it probably wouldn't be really on my list if I did. Yeah. But Richie, what's some mentions you had?
So I got two movies and a TV sort of miniseries. But to the two ones are sort of about fictional stuff. I kind of toyed. I would have thrown it out there. But I don't know if it would get shot down. Tropic Thunder. They're making a fictional movie.
I know I had a bunch of fictional stuff on there, and then I thought about the topic, and I was like, "Yeah, I can't do fictional stuff because then you could include like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, or Bowfinger, or like stuff like that, where it's like they're making a fictional movie." Yeah.
So that's why I was like, I was hesitant. I was like, I'll bring it up in the honorables, whatever. And again, a fictional thing that's not it's not a full on thing, but it's a product. Joy with Jennifer Lawrence, which has that information on the mop thing. It's a decent movie. And also it's a mini series. Each season's an anthology thing, so each season's going to be a different thing. But there's a TV show called Super Pumped about the creation of. The first season was about the creation of Uber with Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Oh, that's one.
It's pretty decent. So. Go check that out. But that's what.
Chad, what are some elements that you had?
I had another two that came out this year. Tetris and Flaming Hot.
Yeah, it's all about
both,
Tetris.
Pretty great. I had Love and Mercy on there because it's about like the creation of Pet Sounds, a very influential album from the Beach Boys, which I thought is a fantastic movie. I had this one that if I brought it up, I thought Malcolm would definitely say yes. Shakespeare in Love, because it's about the creation of the play.
Not about that, but a little bit fictional too, because not entirely accurate.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't bring it up, but I had it on my list just in case. Capote, because it's about like the writing of In Cold Blood. Amadeus, because it's about the creation of like a composition or a. Right. Okay. And then I also had Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah.
Too, so,
Chad, you kill me. I didn't think Amadeus would have bought it.
Right.
Great. I haven't seen Amadeus yet. I have it on Blu-ray right there. I haven't watched it yet. It's a blind spot.
Once again, I forgot about Straight Outta Compton. All these things are so good. I mean, people bring them out on.
I struggle because it's all about like music group and like chopping up and not.
I haven't decided yet if I would say yes or no to Straight Outta Compton because it's like
it's not
a band. It's more of a bio. Yeah, it's not a.
But they're recording the album though, Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah, I mean they are, but I mean it's borderline. I mean.
It's not them.
It's more about
Yeah.
them than like here's the 90-minute movie about
And
that
it just-
album. It's like their whole lives as well. It's a biopic.
It's the same thing that I much I love Amadeus about the rivalry more than the music competition. Then you get to that famous competition at the end of the movie. Why?
So I don't know.
But anyway, like for me, just to avoid some of the ones that have already been said, I was considering, because we talked about it on one of the tournament fights, but it never actually came up in the end. The Aviator, that he is making an actual movie in that. I did have Mank on my list, and also Hitchcock, because they are making Psycho in that movie. And a documentary I was considering, but ultimately decided not to bring up. Zero Dreams of Sushi. It is about the actual sort of making of that restaurant, but once again, with what Ross said about Talking Heads, it wasn't going to risk it. But Osmo, what are some honorable mentions that you had?
I actually didn't have. We got to most of the ones on my list. So because I had Tetris and Flaming Hot in my back pocket, but I'm glad because like Blackberry and Air were my two favorites of the kind of this year's group. But if we had to go Tetris, I would have got Tetris for my next pick. I might have gone Hitchcock as well. I think that's a pretty solid movie. And my only two other ones, Flash of Genius with Greg Kinnear. It's about the guy who made the windshield wipers.
I was thinking that. I just couldn't think of the title. I remember liking it, but I couldn't remember the title of the movie.
I couldn't remember if that was a good movie or not, but
it's a pretty good movie. Again, it's like I had it in my back pocket if we got desperate, that sort of thing. And then when I put it at number 12, and then my only other one, it's really great. It's a Willem Dafoe movie called Shadow of the Vampire. It's about the guy, he plays Max Schreck, the guy who was Nosferatu in the Nosferatu movie. And it's about basically the making of Nosferatu. So from 2000, if you haven't seen it, it's kind of a really underseen movie. So I didn't really bring it up because I figured I'd get a lot of haven't seen it. But Shadow of the Vampire is a good movie too. So if you haven't checked it out, it's really great about Nosferatu. So
like Brian mentioned, Moneyball.
Draft Day, no, doesn't count. Moneyball doesn't count.
Draft. He didn't create the draft.
He's just putting together draft picks. It's not the creation of the Browns. It's not the great Moneyball. The team already exists. He's just getting players. That doesn't count. It doesn't count for the theme of the thing. If you're talking about sports movies, yeah, I'd vote for sports movies because it's really great. But it doesn't count, Brian. Sorry. According to the rules.
But with that, now it's time to rank the movies. Yep, just to recap what is on this, we got Edward, The Social Network, The Founder, Dolomite is the Name, The Disaster Artist, Hearts of Darkness, The Offer, which I accidentally wrote down on my bit of paper as The Office, different TV show.
It's the creating of Dunder Mifflin.
Wolf of Wall Street, Blackberry, Steve Jobs, and Sam Mr. Banks. Austin, what do you have at number 12?
Just because it's recent and it's not my favorite of the recent ones, I'll say Blackberry for number 12.
Chris, what do you have?
I like this film. I think King's performance is better than the film I saw going with The Founder.
Richie.
Yeah, I haven't written anything down, but I'll go Blackberry because I haven't seen
it. Chad.
I didn't write anything down, but I'll also go The Founder.
I put Dolomite as my name, but which means it's a tiebreaker. It falls on me. There's no one putting Founder this low.
Yeah.
Hey, we got Blackberry on to the list.
Yeah, I'll probably be on the list. It's just the other one from this year is more favorite.
But with that, we're going to move on to number 11. Chris, what do you have at 11?
I still keep it The Founder.
Richie.
I'll go Steve Jobs.
Chad.
I said Dolomite is fine at 11.
I'm going Dolomite as well. Austin.
Because it's the one documentary, I'm going to say Hearts of Darkness, not a fictional movie.
But Dolomite is going to be at 11. Move over to 10. As I need to remember to actually change my board because I can't keep voting Dolomite now.
And I think nice to have a list where we don't hate any of the movies we have on.
I
our
like
list.
all of these movies, so I
Yeah.
don't have anything wrong. Or,
Yeah.
and TV show. I like all of these things. So
Yeah.
I like movies and TV shows.
yeah.
I mean, it's one of those ones like I thought there was a lot more TV shows than there was because I
Than there
thought
was,
like
yeah.
there's Dope Sick, which I don't think really counts. And I think there's a whole bunch of the other ones too, but I'm not because I know there was an
Don't
Amanda
forget to
Seyfried.
drop out. A few of them are good, but not really count.
Richie, what do you have at 10?
I'll go Hearts of Darkness.
Chad.
I can see how this is going to play out. I'm going Founder.
I'd put Saving Mr. Banks. Austin.
Hearts of Darkness.
Hearts of Darkness.
Yeah.
I can change to Saving Mr. Banks if you want.
I mean, even if you did, it wasn't going to help because there was still three for us.
There.
I mean, I thought for sure Chris was going to go with Founder and was going to come to me, which was going to be Hearts of Darkness anyway.
Now, I definitely I love documentaries that weirdly go high on my list.
Weirdly.
But Chad, what do you have for number 9?
Saving Mr. Banks is fine. Haven't seen.
I'm also going to say Mr. Banks. Austin.
Because I'm more of a movie guy, I'll say The Offer.
You found it.
Richie.
I would have gone Steve Jobs.
It's going to be Saving Mr. Banks.
What? No.
But for 8, unfortunately, I'm going to have to go Wolf of Wall Street. Austin.
What?
You don't have to.
You don't have
You
to.
found it.
Richie.
I'm going to go The Offer.
Chad.
Yeah, Wolf of Wall Street's fine with me.
Really?
So we've got 2 for The Founder, 2 for Wolf of Wall Street.
Which-
So,
I choose The Founder. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Shame on me.
The Founder. Yeah.
Hey.
I figure. I mean, I know you like Wolf of Wall Street, so I didn't think you were going to.
yeah. I do. I love The Founder, but Wolf of Wall Street's better.
But Austin, what do you have for 7?
The Offer.
Chris.
Yeah, I go with The Offer.
Richie.
The Offer.
Chad.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, I mean, I like the movie. It's just I like
It's
the
one
other
of
one.
Scorsese's weaker movies, I gotta say.
It's got to be top
Ooh.
5. Oh,
It's
man.
not
saying
by a long
it's not by a long shot. Have you seen New York, New York? Anyways.
But
Have you seen Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore?
No.
No? Have you seen Last Temptation of Christ?
Yes, I love that one.
It's rough.
but
All right.
the office can be 7. Chris, what do you have for 6?
Hold on.
Just to
I would
recap
go-
what we've got left, got Edward, Social Network, Disaster Artist, Wolf of Wall Street, Steve Jobs, and Air.
Mm.
You know what? I did go with the Disaster Artist.
Richie, what do you have for 6?
Steve Jobs.
Chad,
I'll second Steve Jobs.
I'm sticking with Wolf of Wall Street. Austin,
Steve Jobs.
and Steve Jobs is going to be 6.
All right. Now it's a toss up at 5. I like all these movies a lot, so this is going to be semantical.
It would toss up between 5 and 6 for me because of between Steve Jobs and the Disaster Artist.
We got left. The 5 ones we got left.
Ed Wood, The Social Network, Disaster Artist, Wolf of Wall Street, Air.
But Richie, what do you have for 5?
Disaster Artist.
Chad,
Easily cut out 30 minutes of this movie, Wolf of Wall Street.
No, don't cut any. I want a 4
Wolf of
hour
Wall Street. Austin,
Air.
I did not do it. I did not do a high mark Disaster Artist.
but So we've got a tie. It goes to Austin, and I know where this is going. So.
Not Wolf of Wall Street, so whatever the other one was.
So go with this is tough.
So the good thing about sticking my guns, it means that I've got time to write the banner and not have to worry about changing my board. But Chad, what do you have for 4?
Yeah, I stuck with it. Wolf of Wall Street.
Come on, guys, you got to help me.
Wolf of Wall Street, Austin,
Air.
Ed Wood, how much I love it. Haven't finished it.
Richie.
Yeah.
So we got a tie in. Chris, it goes to you this time. Wolf of Wall Street or Air?
Wolf of Wall Street would be on. Yeah, sorry, I love Air more.
You love Air more than Wolf of Wall. Get out of here.
Yeah.
It's so recent.
Easily, dude.
It's so recent.
Everyone, my
We've
favorite
had-
movie up to a certain
We've
point.
had time to sit with how overrated Wolf of Wall Street is.
Wolf of Wall Street is great, but
It's
not
only
like.
gotten better on my 67th watch, Chad. Still just as entertaining as the first time I saw it awkwardly with my parents in the theater. That was a weird story. I'll tell you off air, Chad. And remind me to tell you that story off air.
I mean, I saw Wolf of Wall Street on New Year's.
But Austin, what do you have for 3?
Air. It's too recent. Air.
Chris,
Ed Wood.
Richie,
Yeah.
Chad.
Ed Wood.
Just because it's really recent, Air.
Thank you.
It's.
Come on.
I mean, look, I love Air as much as everyone in our house, but it still just came out.
So now you're voting for number 1, by the way. Just keep that in mind.
Yep.
Yeah. But my number 1 voter has still been eating Air.
Yeah, my number 1 was already my number 1.
Somehow I'm not surprised your number 1 was going to be Air, Chris.
No, Ed Wood would have been my number 2. I know what my number 1 is.
But Chris, out of Ed Wood and Social Network, what do you want for number 1?
I'm not going to take 10% of it. I'm going to take all of it. Social Network.
Richie, what?
Social network.
Chad.
There's a reason no one has said this movie yet in this whole ranking, so the Social Network.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, my actual number 1 would have been The Founder, but out of the 2 here, I actually have Ed Wood higher. I'm not as high on Social Network as everyone else. Austin.
Drop the. Just Facebook. Social Network.
It will be Social
You
Network.
know what I did? I dropped the in my social.
Yeah,
network.
we got it.
All right.
But just to recap, our top 12. At number 12, we've got Blackberry. At 11, we've got Dolomite is my name. At 10, we've got Hearts of Darkness. At 9, we've got Seven Mr. Banks. At 8, we've got The Founder. At 7, we've got The Offer. At 6, we've got Steve Jobs. At 5, we've got The Disaster Artist. At 4, we've got The Wolf of Wall Street. At 3, we've got Air. At 2, we've got Ed Wood. And number 1, we've got The Social Network.
That's a sexy list. I like all that stuff on that list.
Really good.
Good stuff there.
So with that, after I realised that I had the message actually typed, but I hadn't put send, so luckily people still tuned in. Next week's topic is going to be top 12 rom-coms of the 90s. So it should be really interesting. But Austin, where can people find you online?
Over on the Movie Hero Network is where I do most of the co-hosting over there. So please just go subscribe to the Movie Hero Network. You can look that up. A bunch of tournament fights this week, best of 2011 3-part series this week, which Malcolm will be helping out with the brackets on that and co-hosting a little bit. So I've got my movie Battleground matchup with Amr Moses is up on TNT. My title match, you can go check that out. It's good stuff. Seen and Heard movie trivia will be next week on Movie Hero Network. We have Lonely Marks, all kinds of good stuff. And I'll be on next week's Battleground Casual talking The Flash over with Aaron. So, yeah, there we go.
Chris, where can people find you online?
Facebook, Letterboxd, anywhere else. So you probably see me a lot. I'll be turning off a lot of Jordan Crystal and trivia week this week. So you guys interested in trivia, go sign over at that this week. Pick a list, Jeopardy, and a bunch of things he had listed for this week.
Richie, where can people find you online?
Yeah, you can find me. Tournament fights. I'll be on the 2011 ladder series, or at least the first episode. So check that out. You can catch me at Lonely Marks. We're doing reviewing the 1989 Great American Bash as per Austin's request. So that should be fun, and as well as doing a prediction for Forbidden Door, which is this coming weekend, which is come up fast. You can. I'll probably be participating in some of Jordan's trivia week that he's got, as well as he's got the movie trivia, and he's also got the wrestling. So I'll be making multiple appearances, I'm sure. My podcast, Telling the Streaming, will probably upload an episode this week. I think it's Chopping Mall. That was a fun time. So check that out on YouTube. Other than that, Combat Wrestling Trivia, I'll have a match soon. Battleground, I'll have a match soon. So check all those out. And yeah.
Chad, where can people find you online?
Like and subscribe to the Dill Pickle Movie Network. That's DYL Pickle Movie Network. I do a show over there called Picture This. I already talked about this earlier, plugged it. But yeah, we just talk about Best Picture movies. We do every month. We do a different year, and so we just watch all those movies that were nominated, and we rank them. We talk about them. We talk about actors and actresses from those movies and the year itself, and a lot of other stuff. And it's really great time. So please watch that. Check out the Nerd Entertainment Network, where my buddy Hunter and my wife Carrie and I will talk horror movies, and sometimes we rank Buffy the Vampire Slayer episodes because it's my favorite show of all time. We just talk a lot of horror and just have fun. Recently, we've been doing a lot of brackets actually inspired by the Movie Hero Network, kind of a deal. So we do
it's
it.
Okay, Chad. We don't own the license on brackets. You could do whatever you want. I know Chad behind the scene. He messaged me. He's like, "Is it okay if we do brackets?" I'm like, "We don't own brackets. Do whatever you want."
Well, no, it wasn't like that. It was just I wanted to shout out your thing.
No, I understand. I appreciate that.
How you guys did it, because you guys do it in a really great way. So we kind of do the similar thing, but we do horror decades. So that's what we're doing so far. And
you got to have me on for one of those, man. That sounds like a lot of fun, man. Give me
We'll talk about that. And then check out my blog that I haven't posted on in a very long time, but I'm going to get back to it. The Clear Eyes Full Heart Reviews .wordpress.com is it. And I believe that's it. Thank you. This was fun.
I think people can understand you got more important things to do than writing on a blog. Just before this, you can see me, Austin, and Chad in a horror freeform over on the Video Store channel.
No, don't watch it. Not one of my prouder moments in trivia.
I'm not sure when this is dropping, but I just recorded a match for Multiplex coming up soon. You can find me next week on Mankin doing rom-coms of the 90s, and then you can see me pop up. Like I'll be doing the tournament fights this week, but that being said, until next time, just keep listening shit as I find a clip to go.
I love you all.